Alright, gonna start this with the usual audio check. Just gonna check the audio. Is it working? Gonna start this with the usual audio check. Alright, so let's kind of talk about what we've accomplished so far. I kind of usually, after every coding stream, I kind of show, what we've done. Is I think if I'm correct, we started here and we ended up here. So it was a long stream. It was an hour. So we're working on HTML. We did HTML, and now we're kind of in CSS, and then we're gonna do more CSS, and then we're gonna try to get this done, which is kind of the first project. And we also have a Gilded, and I'm actually gonna when I do finish a project, I'm gonna put that up on GitHub. So I'm gonna put that more in place. But yeah, let's just get back into the tutorial. So right here, we're continuing on this cafe menu situation. I'm gonna try to make chat available if someone is actually in chat. It's a very late coding stream, but I'm gonna try to go on for as long as I can. So that's the code, that's HTML code, that's CSS code. Let's see what the tutorial's about. So below the dessert, below the dessert you just add the rest of the desserts and prices using 3 more article elements, each with 2 nested p elements. Each element should have the correct dessert and price text, and all of them should have the correct classes. Okay. So for this, we have the first menu option, which is the donut class. So I think I was coding it, I guess, so I think all I need to do is fill it in. So that'll go right here. Next one's cherry pie, so that goes here. Oh, actually it doesn't, it goes here. And the price goes here. So the price is $2.75. As you can see, it's developing. Into here. So it's kind of in real time that you see the code being put in place. And the next one is cheesecake. So right after item and dessert, yes, the correct class. And the price is $3. For this, and then this is the last one. And what is the price on that? $2.50. So it looks like it was implemented correctly. So it says, congratulations, your code passes. Submit your code to continue. Alright. You can give your menu some space between the content and the size with various padding properties. Give the menu class padding left and padding right with the same value of 20px. Okay, so you know how to I mean, I'm trying to explain this in other ways, but I'll just type it for now and then try to explain it. But you know, we have the attribute, then we have the value, 20px. Padding rate, 20px. Just want to check the code first, just make sure it's good. And so what padding in general is imagine I don't know, I guess like the best way to describe it is this definition. It's just it's space between the contents and the side. So it's like imagine an element, whether it's a paragraph, to take up like a block of space. Or whatever it is, to take up like a block of space. It's basically artificially creating space in between the content in that element. So whether, let's say there's words in the paragraph, it's going to actually make it so that there's more space between that content and the ends of that element. But it'll be better explained later. That looks better. Now try to add the same 20 pixels padding to the top and bottom. Alright. So just same logic. I always think bottom spelled EM at the end. I had to train myself to know it's spelled OM. Alright. So now everything in menu is gonna, anything with the class of menu is gonna have all of these style properties. Alright. Code passes. Since all four sides of the menu have the same internal spacing, go ahead and delete all four properties using a single padding property with 20 pixels. Okay, so since all four sides of the menu have the same internal spacing, go ahead and delete all four. Okay. So I think what it's saying here is all this is the same as this. So having this is, I guess you would say, redundant or unnecessary if you have this. So if all of this, if the padding left, right, top, and bottom is all 20 pixels, it's all the same, then it's equivalent to just saying padding 20. So this one line of code will do and accomplish what all these four lines of code will also accomplish. Let's check the code. Oh, I actually didn't get rid of it, so it actually wants me to get rid of it. Yep. So there you go. There you go. The current width of the menu will always take up 80% of the body's element width. On a very wide screen, the coffee and dessert appear far apart from their prices. Add a max width property to the menu class with a value of 500 pixels to prevent it from growing too wide. Okay, so what is this saying? Current width of the menu will always take up 80% of the body. So, let's just make the property first. So essentially what that accomplishes is, depending on how the screen is, you want to keep everything in proportion, and constraining it with a max width will accomplish that. Code passes. Okay, we're continuing on. You can change the font family of text to make it look different from the default font of your browser. Each browser has some common fonts available to it. Change all the text in your body by adding a font family property with the value sans serif. Alright. So, font family property. So it's just the font. Let's try to type sans serif. So now if you notice the font changes, the font will change as I type this in. So I want you to notice that. Yep. So now it looks more presentable. Congratulations, the code passes. Step 58, it's a bit boring for all the text to have the same font family. You can still have the majority of the text in serif and make just the H1 and H2 elements different using a different selector. Style both H1 and H2 elements so that these elements text use impact font. Okay, so now it's we're getting to the stage where we're able to kind of read this instruction and know what it's telling us to do based on what we've learned. So when we talk about a H1 and H2 selector, what does that look like? It would look like this, because it's like we're just talking about H1 and H2. And what do we have to do? Well, I think there should be a space. One moment. We're changing that font to impact, so we would use font family to do that. So I guess that's the kind of font. See, now the font just changed. Did you see that? I believe that's what it wanted me to do. So when we talk about selectors, it's like we're selecting it. So then you say H1 and H2, do this. Have this font, have this style. So now we're kind of applying it based on these directions. Step 59, you can add a fallback value for the font family by adding another font name separated by a comma. Now, when we remember fallback, that word, it's kind of like a plan B, based on the other tutorials, we're kind of used to using that word as if this doesn't work, use this. I believe in the color tutorials. But the direction says add a fallback value for the font family by adding another font name separated by a comma. Yep, fallbacks are used in instances where the initial is not found or available. Okay. So it's kind of like a shopping list. If they don't have this, then buy this. So the code passes. Make established 2020 text italicized by creating an established class selector. And giving it the font style property with the value italic. Okay. Not sure if they're saying apply it to, but I'll just make the class it wants me to make. I think you see where this is going. It's going to ask us to eventually apply this class that we're just building right now. To the element that established 2020 is in. So might as well keep that copied, so when we use it, we can use it. congratulations, your code passes. Submit your code to continue. And now, what do you look at that? It wants us to apply that class. So then we apply that class. Congratulations, your code passes. Submit your code to continue. The typography of heading elements, H1 and H2, is set by default values for users' browsers. Add two type selectors, H1 and H2. Use the font size property for both, but use the value 40 pixels for H1 and 30 pixels for H2. Okay, so I think for this it would be a separate selector. It would have to be. Yeah, if it's H1 and H2. Well, actually, we already have an H1 and H2 somewhere, don't we? Or do we? Yeah, we do. Well, actually, I don't know, I'm kind of confused because it wants us to create new type selectors, but they already have them. Okay, so I think I know what it's saying. I think it's talking about so when we have the one for only H1, that font size is going to be 40 pixels. And the H2 is going to be 30 pixels. Yeah, so I think that's all it wanted us to do. There wasn't anything. Oh, okay. Use a font size for both. Oh, okay. I got a little bit of misunderstanding. But that code should work. Yeah, that code works. They're saying use the same idea for both, but not the same class. Okay. Okay, so add a footer element below the main element. Alright, so where's the main element? So this is the opening for main. Hold on, I want to keep this big. Goes from main, goes from here to here. So this is all the main element. Alright, so a footer is kind of like a foot. It's on the bottom. It's going to be below the main. So I think it's just saying add the element. That's all it's saying to do. So let's just add the element. Yep, the code passes. Inside the footer, add a p element. Then nest inside the footer, add a p element. Alright, here's a P element. Then nest and anchor A element in the P element that links to. So again, it's like nest means it's like in a nest inside of it. So imagine us making a nest inside of it. So we're creating this element right here. And what is it going to link to? It's going to link to this. And with the text visit our website. I mean, normally I would copy and paste it just so there's no error, but let's just see if okay, so actually I'm just gonna copy and paste it. Alright, so it says congratulations, your code passes. Let your code to continue. So we're now at 64. We'll see how far we're getting. Alright, so we're actually making strides. We're at like 54, so we just now got like 10 done. So maybe we can see if we'll just get this entire thing done. That'll be kind of a intermediate goal for now. So it's like, then we get to this, then we get to this, so it's kind of more CSS stuff, and then this is kind of a whole new concept, where it's kind of like, you know, any kind of form that you would, you know, put your information in, like any kind of sign up page. When you sign up for Facebook, you type what your username is going to be, your password is going to be, create password, all that stuff. That's kind of what is it within an HTML form. You know, so it uses CSS, but we'll kind of get into other territory. But it's kind of some interesting stuff. And then we kind of have a capstone project where I'm gonna do that every time I work on it. At least I'm gonna do it live. Doing it live. Oh, didn't mean to click on it. But yeah, we'll do it live. So it says we're 70% done. So now let's get to 65. Add a second P element. Alright. Add a second P element below the one with the link and give it a text. Okay, so here's the P element. So this is the second P element I'm going to create. Well, I'm not really quite sure what it's asked me to do. Add a second P element below the one with the link. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, so it's not having us create a link at all. Alright, that makes sense. And then we're going to copy and paste this in. And that should be what it asks us to do. You can use an HR. I believe that stands for horizontal rule. element to display a divider between sections of different content. So this is kind of one of those things where there's no real good way to describe it until you see it. So I don't want to make it more confusing by trying to describe it. So we'll just kind of learn what it is. First, add an HR element between the P element with the class established. Hold on, add an HR element between the P element with the class established. So that's here. Between the P element with the class established and the first section. So that's going to be right here. And I believe they're self-closing. So it'll look like this. So, what do you see? What do you see? Before you don't see it, and now you kind of see. Now you see the horizontal rule. So that is a horizontal rule. You probably noticed that. It kind of is a good way of dividing certain content. But I didn't want to just say that, but you probably recognize something that kind of looks like this on a website. But that should work. Congratulations, your code passes. Submit your code to continue. The default properties of an HR element will make it appear as a thin light gray line. You can change the height of the line by specifying a value for the height property. How does it want us to do this? I mean, does it want to make us a selector? We could do that, but I'm not sure if it wants us to do it with a selector or just do it in line. But I'll just find out. Yeah, so I think they actually, yeah, they don't want it to do it in line. That would be another way to do it, I think. But yeah, so use an HR selector. Okay. Height 3px. Alright, so that works. So now if you notice, it's a little bigger. Whereas before, you know, you can just notice the difference right here. Before, after, before, after. Change the background color of the HR element to brown so it matches the color of the coffee beans. Okay. So background color, because right now it's gray. And it works. Congratulations, your code passes. Notice a gray color. Notice a gray color along the edges of the line. Those edges are known as borders. Each side of an element can have a different color, and they can all be the same. Make all edges of the HR element the same color as a background of it using the border color property. Okay? So if you kind of notice very closely, the very end of that line is kind of like a grayish white. So we're going to change that color. We're going to change it to again. What do they want us to change it to? Oh, I guess the same color, so brown. Should be what it wanted us to do. There you go. So now that very edge is no longer brown, white, it's brown. Notice how the thickness of the line looks bigger. The default value of a property named border width is 1 pixel for all edges of HR elements. By changing the border to the same color as the background, the total height of the line is 5 pixels, 3 pixels plus the top and bottom border width of 1 pixel. Change the height property of the HR to be 2 pixels, so the total becomes 4 pixels. Okay. So yeah, I'm just gonna do it for now and then talk about it. Saying, notice how the thickness looks bigger. The default value property name border width is 1 pixel. So it's kind of saying that this plus this is adding up properly to this, so that this should be changed to 2, so that 2 plus 2 will actually just add up to 4. Go ahead and add another HR element between main and footer. So now we're going to create a divider between kind of here. This is the footer area, and here. So let's just do that. So main and footer. So now you notice that because we use that selector from before, that HR selector, Um, this H. Oh no. This HR selector. Oh, it's right here. Um, because we created another one, it's actually going to have all of the styles of this one, because we're saying that every HR, every horizontal rule, is going to have these properties. So, I believe that should check out. So congratulations, your code passes. Now we're on 72. To create a little more room around the menu, add 20 pixels of space on the inside of the body element by using the padding property. To create a little more room around the menu, add 20 pixels of space on the inside of the body element by using the padding property. Okay. So this creates space between the content and the element. So in real time, we're going to see the effect of it. So before, you'll kind of notice, okay, so this is before, and this is after. This is before, this is after. So what happened was, you're essentially creating space between the body and this element. You're creating space here. So it says, congratulations, your code passes. Submit your code to continue. Alright. 73, focusing on the menu items and prices. There is a fairly large gap between each line. Target all the P elements. Target all the P elements nested in elements with the class named item. Alright, so just kind of getting into it. Target all the P elements nested in elements with a class named item. Okay, so how do we do that? So basically so we're going to use a selector for this, right? Dot item. Oh, there actually already is a class here. So again, just kind of a review. Like what will this code do? Is any P element that is applying the class item, this class, to do this. So it's one thing to say, alright, anything that has this class inherit these styles, but then it's specifying not only for P elements that are inheriting that class. So I think since it's already there, we'll just apply it. Margin bottom. So when they say target, we have selectors in mind, so I think that's what it wanted us to do. Yep, congratulations, your code passes. Submit your code to continue. Using the same style selector in the previous step, make the font size of the items and prices larger by using the value 18 pixels. So using the same style selector in the previous step, make the font size of the items and prices larger by using the value 18 pixels. Okay. So this is the same style selector. Font size 18px should be it. Changing the margin bottom to 5 pixels looks great. However, now the space between the cinnamon roll menu item, alright, so the cinnamon roll menu item, and the second HR, so that's here, does not match the space between the top HR element and the coffee heading. Okay, so I think what it's saying is the distance between this and this is not the same between this and this. And the reason why you would want it to be the same is only for design purposes, just so it looks symmetrical and it looks, has a kind of an equal appearance. So we're going to fix that by adding some more space by creating a class named bottom line. Alright, so let's just create the class. Dot bottom line, dot for the class, bottom line, and what are we doing? So margin top 25px. So that should be it. Now add the bottom line class to the second HR element, so the style's applied. So right now the style, we made the class, but because it's not applied, we're not going to see a change because we did not apply the class. We created the class, but we did not apply the class. So the second HR is right here. So we're going to make it use that class. And what is that class called again? Hold on. Bottom line class, so let's just copy this. Bottom line, so if remember, you never want to include the dot before. It's just, you just want to have the name of the class. So now it knows to implement this style. That's what a class is. So congratulations, your code passes. Submit your code to continue. There we are. Next, you're going to be styling the footer element. To keep the CSS organized, add a comment at the end of the styles.css with the text footer. Okay, so we're at the end of the styles. So I believe for a comment in CSS, it's /star // So anything in between here is not going to be executed. It's merely a note for the programmer. So if you work with another programmer, um, on a website, this is not going to be ran as code. It's just going to be information for the other coder so that they can see. It's just kind of like a sticky note for the next person to code. So next we're going to be styling the footer element to keep this organized. Add a comment at the end of the styles with the text footer. Okay, so footer. So that should be what it wanted us to do. Okay, there you go. Moving down the footer element, make all the text have a value. So moving down the footer element, make all the text have the value of 14 pixels for the font size. Okay, so how do you think we do that? So if you remember, it's kind of the same as a body, right? Where instead of body it would be footer. Hold on, I want to use caps lock. Footer. So this this should be what it wanted us to do. So now, for anything that's in the footer, the text size is going to automatically be 14 pixels. So that's how you do that. Congratulations, your code passes. Submit your code to continue. So now we're at 79. The default color of a link that has not yet been clicked on is typically blue. The default color of the link that has already been visited is typically purple. So it's kind of like before you see the link, it's blue, then you click on it, and then it's purple. To make the footer links the same color, regardless if a link has been visited, use a type selector for the anchor element A and use a value black for the color property. Okay, so to make the footer links the same color, if a link has been visited, use a type selector for the anchor element A. Alright, so let's think about how to do this. It's going to be in the footer, right? And it's going to be an anchor tag in a footer. And then we look at what we're going to do. So then we use a color property, and then we make it black. So now, well, let's just see if that works. Oh, hold on. Oh, I think it's just a space I need. Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, it couldn't be just use. Hold on. Oh, that's strange. That's strange. Okay, so that's kind of strange. So I would have thought that yeah, sorry about that. I would have thought that it was saying that all links with an anchor element within a footer would you wanted this black property, but instead it didn't work when I did that, but it just wants all links. What this would actually do is make all links in the entire page black. So I don't know actually. That's yeah, I'm not sure. But that's what it wants to do apparently. Well, Anthony Cruz. Alright, so now we're at 80. Let's just see how far we went. So when we started, we were at like 54. So now we're almost finished with this module. I'm trying to get closer to finishing this. How much is in this module? Hold on. I think it's the same amount. 91, then 94. It's about the same amount. Then this is actually a lot. It's a lot more. Kind of tying everything together, and it's actually less. You change the properties of a link when the link has actually been visited using a pseudo selector that looks like a visited. Yeah, not gonna lie. Now I'm wondering the question because I'm learning this too. Um is there value in doing it the way that I was about to do it, where if we were gonna have only links in a certain part of the web page, like footer, or main, if you would have pseudo selectors in that. I don't know. That actually kind of threw me off. You change properties on a link. Alright, so let's just do this by using a pseudo selector. Okay, so a visited color. Gray. I believe that's what I wanted us to do. Just want to make sure. Okay, yep. So I don't know why they call it a pseudo selector, but essentially they're calling it that because it's not like it's like an ordinary selector where it's just saying a certain kind of element, whether it's in whether it is whether it also has a certain kind of class applied to it, whatever the situation is. But it all kind of depends on whether a link has been clicked or not, and then what you're gonna do next. Like, are you gonna make the link when it's clicked on a certain color? I don't know why they would use the word pseudo, but that's what it means. That means anytime like after you click the link, and then it will kind of show that you clicked the link. It's gonna be gray, so you can decide that it's gonna be gray. So that's why it's gray. We can make it red. Let's just make it red just to show the change. Sarah 81. What I think we're gonna do is we're probably just gonna go and finish this this entire module today. Change the properties of a link when the mouse hovers over them using a pseudo selector. So every time you want to think of the word pseudo, you want to think of behavior of links. So whether you visited the link, whether your mouse is over the link, whether your mouse didn't, but whether you didn't visit the link yet, it's all about that. Change the color of the footer. Visit our website link to be brown when the user hovers over it. Okay, so how we do that is hover color brown. Alright, so now we're gonna see it in real time. Alright, so if we hover over it, it should be brown. It's brown. Now let's make it another color. Let's make it blue, or let's make it like, I don't even know, yellow or something. Alright, so let's test it. If I hover over it, is it gonna be yellow? It's yellow. I kind of wonder if gold's a color. I think it is. Now it's gold. But I wanted to be brown. So see if that's kind of what it's doing. So if it already hovered over it, it's going to be brown, and the situation. Yep. You change properties of a link when the link is actually being clicked by using a pseudo selector. Alright, so this is when it is being clicked. So we'll find out what that means. So then you use a active for that. Alright. So a active active white. Alright, so now it's already gray, it's brown, and now when I click on it, or I'm about to click on it, it should just magically turn white. Boom. And that's how it's supposed to work. Alright, so that's that. So the code passes. Now next challenge. Alright, so we're almost 10 away from finishing. To keep with the same color theme you already have been using, black and brown, change the color for when the link is visited to black. Alright, so visited to black. You can do that. And use brown when it's actually clicked. So brown should be when it's actually clicked. Is that what it wanted us to do? We'll find out. Did it pass? It passed. So now we're to the next one. Now I think we're about 10 away, because weren't there 94? Oh, there's actually 91. So we are 91% done. So there's 91 kind of those lessons. So we've done 83, and we're just going to kind of finish it up to 91. And I think that'll be all for today. Or if not, we'll maybe continue, but the next one will just be a whole another CSS one, and then it'll be kind of starting to really type things in and then building stuff. So let's just finish this. Menu text camper cafe has a different space from the top than the address space at the bottom of the menu. This is due to the browser having some default top margin for the H1 element. Change the top margin of the H1 element to 0. Okay, so top margin. So how this looks is, if you remember, it's margin top. I think it's 0 pixels, isn't it? Yep. So this basically removes that margin. So you kind of want to show a before and after one of that. So before, after, before, after. So if you notice, it gets rid of that space right there. To remove some of the vertical space between the H1 element and the established 2020 element, so that's this space, change the bottom margin of the H1 to 15 pixels. Okay. Margin bottom. So I guess we can just say 15. We don't even need to say pixels. So congratulations, the code passes. So 91. I think we're coming up on 5 left for today. Now the top spacing looks good. The space below the address at the bottom of the menu is a little bigger than the space at the top of the menu and the H1 element. Okay. So now that the top spacing looks good, the space below the address, below the address. So this is the address. They kind of came up with a fake address here. So space between this address and the bottom is a little bigger than the space of the menu and the top and the H1 element. Alright, so again, we're just making it more symmetrical. So their solution to this is To decrease the default margin space below the address p element selector, p element, create a class selector named address. Alright, so class selector named address. And make it margin bottom 5 pixels. So nothing should have changed because we didn't apply the class. Now apply the class. So if you notice, every time we create a class, they're asking us to apply the class. Because without applying the class, it's nothing. So now apply the class address. So I'll just actually copy it here. To the p element containing the element. So right here, that's the element. So now we're kind of connecting the two. And now, and only now, it's applied. So so if you notice, it's this space here that changes. My cursor is. And the code passed. So now we're at 88, so 3 away from the end of it. The menu looks good, but other than the coffee beans background image, it is mainly just text. Under the coffee heading, so that's under this, add an image using the URL. Alright, so I guess we're gonna, okay, so one moment. Not really sure, because it would need to be a background image I think they're trying to create. So I'm not sure if they're asking us to create a background image under coffee. I'm not sure why you would. That's not consistent with maybe they're asking for an inline image. Which would be this. And alt coffee icon. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna try my best on this one, but I'm kind of not 100%. Oh, okay, so they just want us to make a regular image. Okay, so they just want us to create a regular image. Just got a little confused. So this is the image tag. Image source. So now there's the image. Alt coffee icon. So then instead of that doesn't work, if that doesn't render, then or maybe even for people that can't see, they'll be told that there's a coffee icon there. So that's what it wanted us to do. Yeah, so the image is not centered. It's not centered horizontally like the coffee heading above it. Image elements are like inline elements. Yep. To make the image behave like heading elements, which are block level. So block level means they have an opening and they have a closing. Well, actually, no. Sorry. Create an image type selector that uses the value block for the display. Alright, so that has to do with whether it's on the same line. So this is the image type selector. So now for all images, what we're going to do, block for the display property. That's going to be block. Oh, they weren't done. So, and for margin left and margin right, values to center it horizontally. Okay. So margin left. think just center, right? Oh, it's auto. Okay. Alright, so now the code passes. Add one last image under the desserts heading using the URL. Alright, so now we're going to basically do the same thing. So, image, source, should be one of the last tutorials. I think we just have one more left. So now this is a source for the image. And if the image doesn't load, it'll say there's supposed to be a pie icon here. And there you go. And now it's already centered, because now for all images, it's going to inherit these. It's going to inherit these properties. Alright, so I think this is the last one. It would be nice if the vertical space between the H2 elements and their associated icons were smaller. So the space between this, and the space between this and this, they're saying they want to see smaller, which would look better. So the H2 elements that have default top and bottom margin space, so you could change the bottom and top margins for 0. So there's an easy way. Simply add a negative top margin to the image elements to pull them up from their current positions. Negative values are created using a hyphen in front of the value. To complete this project, go ahead and use a negative top margin of 25 pixels in the image type selector. Okay, so it's going to be negative 25. That gets rid of it. So basically, instead of making a top and bottom margin, you just make a negative top margin, so it actually kind of goes into the space. So yeah, I didn't know that. I wasn't familiar with that. And it passed, and now we are done with this module. So now we're gonna start this next module as soon as possible. Then we're gonna get onto forums. Then we're gonna get this on. Then we're gonna try to put it on GitHub and things like that. And then I'm gonna try to just reinforce everything, and then move on to programming and stuff. But that should be it. One moment. Gotta check if there's anything in chat. Yeah, so